Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the Rangers Review morning briefing for Friday, the 22nd of October. I'm Derek Clark. I'm joined this morning by fresh-faced Joshua Barrie after watching Rangers win at Ibrox last night. How are we doing, Joshua?
Yeah, I don't feel too fresh, Derek, but I'm glad I look fresh. So no, it was a really good evening. Felt much more like a big Ibrox European night than the Lyon game had. I think it had a bit of everything, and obviously more of a 90-minute performance from Rangers was really encouraging. So I think a pleasing night all round. Not many complaints at all leaving Ibrox this season, which has been rare, as we know. So all good on my end.
Yeah, fantastic. Remember, folks, if you're watching us on YouTube, just to hit the subscribe button so you'll never miss a video. And remember that fantastic offer we've got on just now. It's terrific. £1 a month it is for the first 2 months to support top quality journalism covering the club you love. D-Max got in touch. He says, morning, guys. Great result. And we'll certainly dive right into that result, Joshua. Steven Gerrard said it was a must-win game, and Rangers certainly delivered a performance that sort of matched the magnitude of the game as well. Your predicted lineups were spot on, and Rangers really went for it. Went for Brondby from the off, didn't they?
Yeah, and interestingly, Derek, Brondby's manager said in his post-match press conference that the game plan played out as they had envisioned, in the sense that Rangers were strong from set pieces, strong from crosses. I thought Gerrard's team selection mirrored that. The inclusion of Rufa Morelos at times did lack that little run off the shoulder, but occupied the box well, occupied the three centre halves well. Because of absences in terms of Kamara and Kent, it meant the team was a little bit more balanced, unbalanced intentionally with play kind of being prioritised down the right. John Lundstrom covering a bit on the left. But all in all, I thought it was just a really controlled performance. There was a couple of nervy moments. Borna Barisic did have a bad game, and his back pass was questionable. Gerrard smirked about it after the game, but it was, if that had gone in, given the downfall that sometimes happened in these Rangers second halves, for that to go in right at the start of the second would have been really, I think, difficult on the ground. But that aside, Brondby really didn't carve Rangers open aside from one other chance in the first half. I thought they passed the ball really well. Morelos didn't have his best game, but I thought he was better. Joe Rebo, I thought, was absolutely unplayable at points when he matches his skill with his strength. I just think he's so good. And Steven Gerrard said as much in the post-match press conference, asked him about Joe Rebo, and he almost snarls in his reaction in a complimentary way to Rebo. Talking about his aggression and playing angry in a good way. And I think what that shows and epitomises is how much Gerrard views that aggression in the Rebo's game as a key part. And because when he is strong in the duel and he does get through 50-50s that maybe look a bit more 70-30, not in his favour, he's so strong. And I thought in the last home game, I said in my colour piece this morning against Lyon, he slowed attacks down. And last night, I thought he was the team's kind of main offensive threat, taking them from middle to front and crucially providing the end product. Derek, that's what's lacked at points this season. He scored a couple of goals, but in terms of setting goals up in the box, he's perhaps been a little bit lacking. So all in all, really good night. The injury to Leon Balogun, obviously a little bit of a concern. Everyone will be hoping that is precautionary rather than a reaction to an injury, and that's what Gerrard was kind of hoping in the post-match press conference as well. So yeah, definitely the most complete 90 minutes of the season. Lots of encouraging things to take away from it. Still levels to go, but I don't think you can ask for much more from a European game. That we hit the post, hit the bar, should have had a penalty. Their manager again said as much after the game. So pretty complete performance all in all.
Yeah, I wanted to touch on the penalty and VAR in general, Joshua. The goal that got given for Kemar Roof, of course. I think everyone in the ground felt he was offside, but that was VAR being used properly. But then we've seen it not being used properly when Joe Aribo was clearly brought down in the box and no penalty was given. So I think everyone in the ground would have seen that would be a penalty kick when he went down in real time. So but positives and negatives for VAR last night.
Yeah, mixed bag. I thought the first goal, I couldn't tell at all because I was at the far side of the gantry, the Copeland side of the gantry. But the referee actually came over it looked like to change his watch or something.
Yeah.
That was official. So when I originally saw him coming over and I thought, here we go, excellent. Because normally when the referee goes to check the monitor, that signifies he's going to change his mind because he's been told by the VAR to go and look at it. But yeah, when he did point back to the centre spot, it was a nice delayed reaction, and obviously one of the first goals that Rangers will have scored had been given by VAR. But it was the thing about it, Derek, I think, is that the support obviously isn't used to VAR in the same way the English Premier League obviously have it every week, whereas I think it gets forgotten about the VARs in the Europa League. So that's good in the sense that it doesn't delay reactions, doesn't delay celebrations, But yeah, it was nice to have almost 2 celebrations for Rif's goal. Aribo's penalty I was at that side and it looked a stonewaller, but it just a referee error, I guess. That would really put the game out of sight. As I say, Rangers had some really good chances in that second half, and the second goal allowed them to do that. It gave them a platform to go and continue to attack with freedom. James Tavernier, I don't know what you thought, but I thought his combination play and his link-up play was at its best since Livingston in the opening day of the season. I think Tavernier often, when he's having a bad run of form, will take an extra touch and he'll look to go inside and he'll go backwards. And yesterday I thought he played on instinct. Quick passes into the players in front of him, moving on to the ball and moving his team up the pitch. And I thought he really grew into the game, and that's what Gerrard said as well after. So yeah, the Aribo penalty would have capped it off. Scarfield shot off the bar would have capped it off. Fashion Sakala's chance one-on-one would have capped it off. And the multitude of moments that could have done that again signifies just how positive a result and crucially performance that was for Rangers last night, given the stuttering start to the Europa League campaign that had taken before that.
Yeah, absolutely. Get lots of comments coming in, guys. Alex Campbell gets in touch. Great night. Nice to see Scott Arfield getting a run out. Yeah, it was good to see him. Almost got a goal as well. Joshua, great work by Scott Wright on the touchline. Beat his man and lovely cutback, and he wasn't too far away, was he? But it's good to see him back involved again.
Yeah, and Gerrard used all 5 subs, and that kind of maintained the energy, I guess. And I was speaking to a couple of a friend of the show, Adam Thornton, last night, and he was saying the same about the substitutes the weekend, where if you have, obviously it's hypothetical, but if you have 5 subs, you're able to bring on Anas Akala as well to kind of stretch the pitch. It just changes the game a little bit, and I did think around 70 minutes Rangers looked a little bit tired, and the ability to bring on your Wrights and your Arfield, you know what you're going to get with Arfield. He'll protect the ball, and he'll do the job really well when he comes on, being the professional that he is. And again in that 10-15 minute cameo, you see his strength as well, arriving late into the box. Yeah, he took his chance really well. Scott Wright as well provided energy and picked Arfield out well for that chance. And it would have been a nice way to kind of remind the Rangers support of his influence. But I think equally, that little 10-15 minute cameo is just the benefit of having players like Scott Arfield to bring on in European games like that. Yeah,
you mentioned Morelos. It wasn't his best of nights, and he's in a really poor run of form at the moment. I've got some comments coming in. One from Robert McFarlane. He says, I've watched reruns of games from 2 seasons ago. Morelos definitely looks heavier now. Is it part of Morelos' poor form, partly due to his weight? Callum gets in touch as well. He says, I think Morelos should have scored last night. What did you make of Morelos and Robert's comment? Maybe a bit heavier, and that's maybe contributing to his poor run of form. For me personally, I think Steven Gerrard mentioned it last night in the presser. It may just be a mental thing. He's just at the cusp of that milestone of 100 goals. I think if he scores that goal last night, he goes on and scores a second. I think he's that sort of player. Joshua, I don't know if you agree.
Yeah, and he's very close with the shot that hits the post, Derek. I mean, that's an excellent effort. I was disagreeing with our superior, Johnny, about his performance, and I thought I gave him a 6 out of 10 last night. I thought the thing is with Morelos, there's such focus on him in every game. I thought his link-up play in the first half was really good, with our centre half really tight to him. There was a couple of balls he spun in behind to Tavernier and Aribo. His header, yes, he should score with, but also leads to the goal. I think he's probably trying to go back across the keeper. And maybe the keeper's too lopsided, and that in a sense helps him to save the shot when it returns to that side of the goal. But I thought he was okay. I don't think that. I think it's more a role change than anything to do with his physicality that's leading to his probably differing form sometimes because of what people expect. I thought he played a little bit more like 19 Morelos, for not in terms of output, but in terms of playing on the last man. I thought we seen more of that in the first half. And physically, I guess that debate kind of rages on about whether that's been intentionally taken out of his game a wee bit. I think that you're right, Derek, that once he scores one goal, I think a lot more will follow. I think he hasn't started the season probably as he would have hoped. We also sometimes forget that footballers are humans, and sometimes maybe they're just having a difficult month, or who knows what. I think the fact that we obviously spoke about Morelos' comments yesterday about wanting to stay for years to come. It will be interesting again to see how he continues to play when there's a little bit more pressure on him. But I think it's just always important to remember that he is functioning in a different way for the team. It'll be interesting to see what happens on Sunday, whether he starts against St Mirren. I tend to think he might be rested. Maybe you'll see Roof and Sakala. But yeah, 6 out of 10 for me. Faded as the second half went on. Made a couple of errors in terms of losing the ball in dangerous areas. But I certainly didn't think it was a bad performance per se.
Yeah. Let's talk about some off-field issues, some unsavoury scenes at halftime. Gordon Watson gets in touch. Hi, Gordon, from all the way down there in Adelaide. Disgusting actions from the Brondby supporters. UEFA need to act. Did you see what was going on? There was, I think, a photographer was hurt by a coin or whatever. What was going on at halftime, Joshua?
Yeah, well, and Tavernier, obviously, when he was taking the corner, seemed to have stuff thrown at him and kind of delayed. It was very similar to Barisic going over to the Legia fans, the Young Boy fans, one of two, and swinging a corner in soon after that led to a good chance. But yeah, I mean, I at halftime it just appeared that something seemed to trigger a reaction from the Brondby fans just towards the kind of far side of the Broomland. Lots of police ran over. I've read obviously the thing about the coin as well, but and that's a shame because they'd made fantastic noise up until then, and instead though, I guess a section of their support has let them down reputation wise, because they did contribute to a really good atmosphere, Derek, and supported their team and supported their team even at the final whistle when they lost. But yeah, it did seem to be something provoked a bit of a ruckus, and they were going a bit mental. Lots of unsavoury hand gestures and some intention to maybe hand out some Glasgow kisses, but not. I don't think any happened. I think probably the Rangers fans quite enjoyed goading them, but yeah, you really don't want to see that. And as I say, it probably lets down again the atmosphere that they created throughout, because especially in the first half, that was very, very good.
Yeah. Our good friend Terry Monroe gets in touch. Did we start 4-2-3-1 or 4-3-3? Having a debate. What did it look like to you?
Without the ball, I think it's always a 4-3-3. I think if you're talking in possession, it was actually it was very asymmetrical in the sense that you had Roof and Morelos were a 2, Hadji kind of drifting into the 10, but Aribo given the width on the right. And if you look at, I've not yet seen the stats mom stuff, but I imagine that will showcase the kind of preference to play down the right. And I thought very much last night, Derek said again, my colour piece, it was evidence of without Kent, they needed the relationships on the right to work, and they really did. Rangers always seem to go 4-3-3 without the ball in terms of what their mid block looks like, but certainly with the ball, it was more of a, I guess you could lean more towards 4-2-3-1 because Davies and Lundstrom sat. Aribo pushed high with Hadji, not on the same line, so it was probably in a sense more of a 4-2-2-2. But these things, I guess, with the rotations with the ball are so loose and fluid. I wrote a piece, I think, this week about formations and the importance of maybe looking at them and judging them without the ball, because that shows, I guess, the structure of a team, the positions, the lines that they're all on. With the ball, there's a lot more flexibility and fluidity. So I don't know if that at all answers Terry Monroe's debate, but I hope he wins.
Yeah, well, he's got a follow-on point. Could we play a 4-2-4 against St Mirren, change it up? That's almost a Jimmy Calderwood special, that one. Could you see that? I don't think so.
No, I mean, again, it's one of these things where in possession, sometimes Rangers do play with a 4-2-4 at home, but certainly in terms of what will they start with? They'll start with their usual template, which allows lots of variation, Derek, because last night, if the game was going a certain way, you could have had Joe Aribo slip into the left of a midfield 3. If Rangers needed to do that for a while, you could have had Yanis Hadji drop back as well, and that variation and fluidity, I think, gives them so many options. But in terms of intentional differences, I think often starting with 2 strikers. Last night you saw Roof, who slid into the 4-3-3 without the ball, but with the ball, it was very much he was there as a forward. If you look at his movement in and around the box, it was to get on the end of crosses. And I think, again, a very intentional game plan from Rangers to try and hurt Brondby that way. So we'll see against St Mirren. I fancy Sakala to start. I thought he did well last night when he came on. Seen a couple of shuffles from him to create space and getting behind, and obviously he was unfortunate with his left-footed shot. So yeah, and Hadji as well. I mentioned for him, Derek. He spoke in the press conference after, and he's just such an impressive individual. But I also thought he's so brave on the ball, and he's just. He said himself the contribution in the last few games hasn't been evident in terms of goals and assists. But I think what Hadji so often does for his team goes unnoticed. He never shies away from the ball, and his usage of it this season has been a lot better. I seem to remember quite a few games last season where Hadji frustrated and perhaps didn't use the ball that well, thinking of like Slavia Prague away as an example. But this season he's just maturing. He's 23 today as well. So he's still, remarkably young, and I thought he was very, very good, very strong on the ball, very brave to move his team forward.
Yeah, good morning to Vicky getting in touch this morning. John Ferguson says great overall performance. I think it's probably up there as the best display of the season, given the magnitude of the game, competition, the fact that Rangers, like you say, have been stuttering somewhat since the start of the season. Joshua, St Mirren on Sunday is going to be difficult. Under Jim Goodwin, they're always a tough nut to crack. How do you see that game going?
Really tough game to crack, and Goodwin, I think, tactically can set his team up really well to kind of negate teams' threats. We've seen that obviously in the League Cup exit last season when they really shut down the right-hand side. Rangers down the left don't look great at the moment. Borna Barisic, we know he goes through these little stages, I think, where he plays within himself, Derek, and I don't know what it looked like on the TV last night, but certainly he looked to be doing that last night. Played quite a few loose passes and wasn't really able to win his one-on-one offensive battles. So that would be the slight concern for me. Equally, Calvin Bassey, you'll remember, really struggled at the I think it's the Smiza Stadium it's now called, last season up against Dylan Conley. But yeah, so it will be a really tough game. It's a 12 o'clock kickoff, tight pitch. The worry for me would be that Rangers really miss Kent in a game like this. But then equally, maybe you just go again with the kind of almost 4-2-2-2 with Roof and Morelos. Maybe Sakala gives you that little bit of pace from the left. It's going to be a tricky game, as they all are. So important that Rangers maintain the momentum from last night, but also the encouragement from that last 90 minutes. Rangers have created a lot of chances in the last 4 days at Ibrox, but they've also limited the opposition really well, and the continuance of that will be really important against St Mirren. Be a completely different game. I don't think the performance will be as focused on going away from home. It's all about 3 points, but I certainly wouldn't mind a comfortable victory on Sunday. Yeah,
they're banging form. The buddies have won the last 3 games, so it's not going to be easy. But you just hope that victory last night will kick them on and then pick up 3 points in Paisley. Okay, that'll do us there, folks. Thanks to everyone getting in touch as ever. Remember to hit subscribe if you're watching us on YouTube to never miss a video that we post, and also to take advantage of that amazing offer we've got on at the moment. Just subscribe to the Rangers Review website for top quality journalism covering the club you love. It's only £1 a month for the first 2 months. We'll be back again on Monday to review the match on Sunday against St Mirren. But until then, enjoy the rest of your weekend.